Welcome to the Business Empowerment Podcast, the show that keeps you in the know with what you need to know in business and technology and for yourself so you can grow. Welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Rob House, and my co-host, Wilton Rogers, got insight for miles. Miles and miles. We'll give you what you need to know. Get ready for the Business Empowerment Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business Empowerment Podcast. This show that brings you insights on business, technology, and leadership. And the thought leaders leading the way. I'm your host, Rob House, and my co-host, Wilton Rogers, the automation guru, expert, mastermind. This guy is helping humanity, man, with robots. What's up, Wilton?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, dude, I'm feeling good, man. We got somebody on the show today, man. You know, we have a real on one of our questions. It says, how much insight do you have? How much knowledge from 1 to 10 do you have in regards to technology? And this brother puts 11.
Right.
He put 11 down. I was like, okay, and he's right because he's the reason why I learned how to use the Apple Clips on my phone. Reason for multiple things for you right now.
Yep.
Junaid, Ahmed, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Rob. I'm so excited to have you guys be able to talk with you guys again. It's been quite some time.
Yeah, yes. Man. I've been on your show, Hacks and Hobbies.
Right.
You been on there?
You know what? About 2 years ago, we were supposed to get on it, you know, and we tried like 3 or 4 times, and all of a sudden, you know, we'll just took over, and we didn't get hooked up again. Yeah. But yeah, I've been following it for a long time, and of course, I've been on them for a couple of years already, and like you said, it did start with the clips with me too. It started with clips. He had more clips.
I saw him on LinkedIn, man.
Yep.
Did some weird thing on LinkedIn, some animated form. I said, "What are you doing?"
Yes, that's how it was.
We met at the same time for 30 days of videos. All of us met around that same era.
That's right.
And you know, here I am. I'm coming onto the scene, you know, and honestly, you know, Junaid had all the insight, dude. Like he knew how to help people use their phone
quick, like fast. Like here it is. Like all you gotta do is this, and there it is. Like what? And he said he did it, and sure enough, it was like the next day I was using it like nothing.
Yeah.
It's like wow.
His bio on LinkedIn says, focus on devising creative solutions to antiquated roadblocks. What does that mean?
What does that mean? That's a really good question. So, antiquated roadblocks. A lot of us use applications that are decades old, especially in the enterprise world. And me coming from a user experience perspective, as a user experience designer, I build enterprise applications. So I've been helping a lot of companies upgrade their tech stack, upgrade their user experience, and use newer technologies because a lot of the times there's limitations in old tech. You can't do certain things. So that's what I call antiquated technologies and coming up to the forefront. For example, banks even right now are using COBOL as a programming language, which is actually 40 years old.
Wow.
Like when COVID hit, the state of New Jersey was hiring COBOL programmers because they needed fix in their payment system, in their, what is that thing called? Unemployment database system. They're like, we need something to scale this up, and they were bringing people in, even though everybody's, you know, without a job. COBOL was getting that hit because they never really upgraded their tech stacks in the back. It's pretty interesting.
It is pretty interesting, and it's imperative that the companies, you know, start to catch up because we're now in a time where, you know, in the past it was an option to pick up technology, and now it is imperative for survival. Your bio says, I've been a user experience designer for over 15 years. As a UX professional, I use the user-centered design philosophy to come up with solutions. Yeah, I read that a couple of times. He said, I use the user-centered design philosophy. That means the user is centered. It's centered around the person. How about that? How about something like that?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. How's it been going for you, man?
That's been going pretty great. It actually all started when the first iPhone was introduced, right? Back in 2006, 2007. I was stepping into a role going from a web designer into a product designer, designing products specifically to be used on a mobile device or even on desktop. So for example, take Gmail. It has one purpose and it's a one purpose driven application. Sure, there's a ton of things you can do in it, but there's only one purpose that you go and serve there. You go into email, you check your email, you reply, compose, you're done, you're out of there. Then you probably might pull up another application like Safari or web. So with the web and enhancement that's been going on, everybody or every tab is a different application.
Hmm.
And then taking that to the next level with the iPhone, Apple introduced the human interface guidelines, basically teaching people, hey, this is how we want you to design apps when you're designing for the iPhone. If you remember version 1 and version 2, we really didn't have apps, and then I think it was towards the middle of version 2 they're like, hey, now we have the App Store, you can
Yeah,
create your own apps.
remember.
Now with over a billion plus applications on the App Store, with 2+ billion devices out there, it's amazing.
Dude.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
That's insane.
It's amazing, and you can get swallowed up very quickly. You know,
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's a lot. It's a lot. And so, what do you? I would say, what's your number one skill, man? What's your number one skill? Because there's a lot with this. But
It is.
what drives you? What would you say your number one component?
So the more I look into all of this and the more backtrack I do on my life, I look at technology as the number one driver for everything that I've learned, everything that I do, right? I remember back when I was younger, I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to fly planes.
Hmm.
And then my dad bought a computer. This is in the mid 90s or early 90s, and I was just totally blown away by the computer. My dad sitting on it and just typing away without even looking at the keyboard. I'm like, how do you know where all the keys are?
Fascinating.
It's
Fascinating.
fascinating. Yeah. So fast forward, d- I just went deep into everything technology. And every once in a while, I'll go back to my roots and I'll be like, okay, what's the latest tech, Intel's building? And so that's what keeps me motivated. And my ability to use the knowledge from user experience, understanding people's behaviors, understanding technology. Hey, how can we mirror that? How can you find a solution to a problem that you might be facing today?
Hmm. That's some good stuff, man. I am a humologist. We are as a new era of people. And a humologist is somebody essentially who the humans and technology make humology.
Yeah,
What you are. You're actually with the leaders of this. I'm following you, okay? But I'm just saying what I am. But the whole purpose of being a humologist is really helping people to understand how to leverage technology. Because
absolutely.
technology is happening all around us, but we need to know how to leverage it and use it to its fullest capacity. And I know you have a podcast, man, and I know, like, on that podcast you're teaching, you're reaching. Talk about that. What made you start that podcast?
Great question. Thank you so much, man. Humologist, I love that term. I mean, it's so powerful. We're all humans. There's like two things that differentiate each other, like from us, like, but there's one thing that makes us super unique. That's we all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, and taken in the environment that we grow up in. So why did I start my podcast? Number one, I love tech. I love discovering new things. I've backed over 260 Kickstarter campaigns
Hmm.
over the past 7 years. That's a ton of new tech people are trying to bring up and talking about. So I'd learned about something and I'd start talking about it to my colleagues and people that are around me. and they would think it's my hobby. So I was like, they would ask me, "Hey, what's your new hobby this week?"
Mm.
And it was kind of a joke, but then I was like, you know what? There's something there. And I had just finished reading the book by Gary Vaynerchuk, Crushing It. And
Yeah.
it's like, just go out and document your journey, because you're going to be, I mean, you're going to be thinking too much about the perfect combination of content. But what people are really looking for is, how did you go up those stairs? Took one step at a time, right?
Mhm.
So I wanted to document the journey that I was going on as a beekeeper. I had just come off doing 8 weeks of learning about beekeeping, and I had just placed an order for my beehives and my bee package. So all of that was coming, and I was like, I want to start documenting this process because there's so much I've learned. And then I was also commuting. I was like, hey, I can use this time to be more productive. So let's talk about beekeeping. So
Mhm.
first season, I was talking about my different hobbies: cycling, podcasting, photography, filmmaking, beekeeping. Like, you name it, I've had some experience with it. So I was talking about that first season, and then as the year ended, I was like, hey, I want to reach out to other people and wonder what they're up to. And that's when I invited you, Rob. That's why
Yeah.
invited a ton of people
Mhm.
and learned from them, and share their journeys. Like, how do you go from zero to hero?
Yeah.
How do you do that? So that's essentially what the podcast has been becoming around, because we all go through one level, two level, three level, just like grade school.
Yeah.
Once you're done with first grade stuff, you test out, you've maxed out your potential in that level,
Mhm.
and then you go to the next grade. Same with high school and college. We're learning and we're growing as human beings, and you've grown all that you can in that group. Now you need to move up. So that's what I figured out. We're always moving, and the closest person to learn something from is somebody who did it yesterday.
Yeah. So true. That's so true, man.
Very.
Uh, Man, you have a lot of insight. There's we're gonna come in for a landing for this first episode. All right, but I want to close out with something. I want you to give a tip.
Mhm.
I know you got a lot of tips. You give out tips all the time. Give out a technological tip, man. Some a technology tip, that can help somebody. There's always sometimes those little ideas that create those huge ahas.
Yeah. So every day when we wake up in the morning, we look forward to the sun, because when you go and look outside, the sun creates an everlasting impression. You're able to see much farther away than you can at nighttime, because your eyes can see much further away with the light.
Mhm.
Same rules apply when you are taking a photo, recording a video, or standing in a Zoom call. You want to light your face the best way possible. Either sit in front of a window or have a light in front of you that's going to light your face up, so that people talking to you can see you much clearly. And we've been on a lot of Zoom calls these past 6, 7, 8, 9 months.
And it
And
goes
we've
on.
seen, you're right, we've seen all sorts of videos. But then the video that really attracts us most is when you can see the person clear as day.
Mm.
So look at the camera, turn on the light, and make that connection.
Light them up, light them up. Yeah, man. That's a great tip, brother. What you think? Well,
Man, I'm ready for the next episode. Let's go.
let's roll into it. Next one.
Free bots and free downloads. Just go to scalethroughautomation.com/free.
Welcome back to part two. We're back here with Junaid, Ahmed, my man. Wilton Rogers, my co-host with the most. Well, we got some nuggets on that last episode from Junaid,
Mhm.
and every second episode we always open up with asking our guests about their best and worst business decisions ever.
Mhm.
Is that how we should kick this off again?
We should kick it off, but before we do that, what I would like to do, he brought up something about his just understanding technology and how to really utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy is when we talked about we he just told us how to use clips on our cell phones to get the captioning right,
Right.
and we did it quick. And when we talked about, he was just showing us now the different about lighting, about
Okay.
cameras, about the setup.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I said I had this stuff, I need someone to help me, Junaid came to mind right away, and we literally talked like a couple months ago,
Yeah.
and I've been setting it up, and it just happened just because, and that could just been able to set everything up, get the right things, get the right connections. He helped me order something for a phone, it was for the laptop. I mean, for the iPad. I had to order a special connection. I asked him about it. He told me to order this one.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So I ordered that one, and all that could have taken me a lot more time, a lot more energy, probably wasted more money. And I spent 30 minutes with him, and it was just like that, like that. So,
That was
and
power, man.
yeah, so the podcast is getting set up now. My side it's gonna look okay on my side. It's gonna be better thanks to him. So yes, let's open up with those questions, man. I love it.
And I always say, man, you're the best looking guy on the internet. Just
Mhm.
look, give us a couple of flashes of these this camera work, man. To show the people a little bit of the maneuvering we got going on here. We have this side angle here, ladies and gentlemen, inside the studio, and then we're gonna come back to the front. Oh, we got another angle. Wait a minute,
Yeah.
another angle. A little. What do you call that angle there? What do you call that one?
So this angle is it's actually I designed it to be more dynamic and emotional. I can actually
Sorry, guys, for those who are just listening. Of course, you cannot see with your ears.
come right here. The idea was this is behind the scenes. This is what I see.
Mhm.
This is this is my view.
Wow.
And then what's funny is that anytime we're setting up our desks, this is the view that we're looking at 100% of the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
We don't know what the other person is looking. So when you turn the camera on, this is what you see.
Show 'em
Mhm.
And I was going through the struggle when I wanted to record my first videos. In fact, I've got a walkthrough on how I looked like like last year, what my video setup looked like, and it's like, wow, I went from that to this. What did it take, right? So you've gotta see from the camera's eyes what are other people going to see. And when Michael Jackson sang that song Man in the Mirror,
Oh, I love that, James.
right? You
Mhm.
looking in the mirror so then you can fix yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So look in the mirror to fix your background.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, that makes sense, man. So much stuff makes sense. It's
Yes.
logical.
Right.
Wow, man. Okay, well, cool, brother. So tell us, man, what was your worst and best business decision you ever made? Worst and best.
Awesome. Worst decision that I made for my business is when I was starting the podcast and people were like, "Oh, you should hire somebody to edit your podcast." I was like, "No. I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to spend the time because I know what I want out of my podcast.
Yeah,
I have the skill to edit the podcast. It's a piece of cake. I could do it."
I do.
Well, I was spending a ton of time editing my own podcast, up to 3 hours on each episode. And the reason I call it the worst decision was that I got myself fired for spending too much time on my own podcast. Right? If I
Yeah.
hi if I had hired somebody to edit my podcast, gave them a template like, "Hey, this is how I want the episode to sound. This is the intro, this is the outro, this is the middle credit, blah, blah, blah. Go do it. I would have been in a totally different space. But I guess I had to go through that path myself. Like sometimes you don't take the lesson till you've hit the ground.
Yeah, it's called you learn
Right.
from the burn, man. Like, oh, that hurt.
So,
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I learned from the burn, man.
Let it burn. So,
that's
okay, all right. So, what was the best decision? The best business decision you ever made to stop doing that?
Absolutely. So one of the best was to stop doing that and hire somebody to edit my podcast,
Right.
walk them through the steps that I take, hand them over the template, hand them over all the stuff. And then number two, I also hired a virtual assistant because so many times you're spending hours on and hours on doing mundane things. It's not that it's bad.
Yeah,
It's just that you could be spending your time doing more productive, more creative things that only you bring,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Absolutely. Sounds like our model. Well,
that's it, right? It's not exactly like our model.
don't do that. Yes, it has to be done, but you don't have to do it. Find
That's
a
it.
way not to. You know, and what you'll find is you actually become more efficient, and you'll have more time. That's
Absolutely.
pretty good, man. How do you, this is the business empowerment podcast. Empowerment means, finding the power within, from within, you know. How do you find that power from within? Because, you're doing business, you got family, you got a job too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you're doing multiple things, man. Podcasts. How do you keep yourself empowered?
By surrounding myself with people who are doing something similar than I am. By surrounding myself with people who are also self motivated. Earlier I saw a quote where it said, a ship doesn't sink because there's too much water around it or there's too much weight in it. It sinks because water enters the ship from places you did not know it could. Meaning that if you start listening to all the comments and all the critique coming from the outside, you're going to start sinking as a human person. So take the power that you have within yourself and find the tribe that's going to lift you up, because a tide doesn't, it raises, everything.
Rising tide lifts all ships, baby.
There you
That's
go.
it.
I
That's
was
it.
saying that this morning. It was weird. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, but
And if you do that, and you have to keep yourself accountable to be in that circle.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to, or you'll be called out.
Yeah.
So putting yourself in that position where it's gonna push you and help you along the way. It's gonna make you more. It's gonna make you a lot better. So,
Yeah.
so
It,
100%.
it's super important, man. Super important. And you're right. Surrounding yourself around like-minded people and being aware of people that are around you. A lot of times we're just not aware, and then we got water all in our boat and we're sinking, and we're pissed off because we're sinking, but we haven't been aware of what was going on.
Yep.
Just gotta wait.
Unless you transform into being a submarine, then that's a
Yeah, and
completely different.
Right,
you're right.
right.
That's a different story.
That's what I'm working on. You know what I mean? Submarine that orbits. I'm just letting you know what I'm.
Yeah.
Man, Junaid, if you had one wish, one wish, just one, like one, meaning like, and obviously can't be more wishes, but this wish could be anything, and it would happen. What would that be?
More free time.
More free time.
I could agree with that one. I could 100% agree with that one.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase it. Time freedom is what I would love to have.
Time freedom.
Time freedom.
That's a good way. That made it clearer.
Mm-hmm.
It made it clearer, man. Yeah.
Because everybody has free time, and then we end up watching TV or doing something dumb.
Right.
But when you have time freedom, you know that the engine's not going to stall. It's like when you're cruising in a car, you've got everything, all the systems are working, and you're just on the freeway. You have the space and time freedom to think about other things. But half the struggle of running a business is that, do you have those systems in place?
Hmm.
And yes, it takes a lot of time setting those systems up. But sometimes you don't have to do it all alone. You got to find people who are experts in those areas. Like, for example, I have no idea how to set up a funnel. I can do websites, but then there's the reason people call it a funnel is because there's multiple things involved. There's people coming in, there's email, like there's too many things happening. So to find more time freedom, I think you need to hire a team that knows what's up and that is able to jive together with you and build it together. And I think that's something you're doing, Wilton, right?
Oh yeah, we are, and I think that you speak a lot of our language. We had to utilize the professional area, especially when it comes down to running a business. You have an idea,
Mm-hmm.
get the people that know how to do it. So, and those funnels, you're right, they're no jokes. But just like funnels and automation all come together, it's finding the logic and then making it happen. So, that's what we've been doing, not only on the automation end, but on the human end too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, man. Today, if you
Yes.
give some advice, man, to someone who's just starting a business, or they've started already with a new. What's some advice you would give someone? In regards to, because with technology, you don't have to go out and get everything. Like that's the worst thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
hmm
But what's a good place for someone to start? If they're thinking about starting a business or they have one, what should they have in the front of their mind?
The front of their mind is why they're doing a business. Why am I doing this? Why do I want to do a podcast? Why do I want to start this business? Is it going to feed my family? Is it going to fulfill my heart?
Yeah.
Is it going to give me something in the future? Like, have those whys defined. I'm constantly revisiting my whys. I'm constantly reflecting on what is this part that I'm doing with podcasting, with home studio, with business, website, consultation, etc. What is this going to do for my end? So you've probably heard this before, reverse engineer where you want to get to, and then the steps will be laid out in front of you. The greatest example, the simplest one is we all use GPS. Like, hey, I want to get to the airport, take me there. It knows the route that it's going to take you. If you're using Waze, it can detect traffic patterns and it's like, okay, take this route instead of this route. Speeds up your journey.
Hmm.
Anytime you buy an IKEA furniture, they gave you a step by step guide. On the front page, it says, "This is what you're going to build," and there's no words. That's the funny part, right? It just has a model number,
Yeah. Yeah.
this little pictures, and then you go step by step and say, okay, get these parts, put these here together. So they give you an entire blueprint, step of guidelines on what you need to go through to set up that furniture.
Hmm.
So
Good.
find somebody who's walked the path, find somebody who's doing what you're already doing, and learn from them. And if you think there's imposter syndrome, don't worry about it because you know what? There's only one of you.
That's beautiful, man.
that's it.
Understand your why, understand your why, what you're doing, and be clear about what you're doing, and get around folks who know about what you're doing. The
hmm
best way to get somewhere is follow someone who's already done it. Get around people who know more than you.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know, brother.
That's it.
Any
That's it.
final words, Wilton?
You know, with Junaid, I think that there's so many different angles that we can take, and we can actually bring them back and just do a special on
Mm-hmm.
on in just show exactly get into the roots of what he does because
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
that alone will just on a podcast can really help somebody
Mm-hmm.
knowing who you are and what you do and coming back and just showing them what let them see what you can do. I think that's something we got to plan because that would be huge.
Yeah.
Because you've helped us in a matter of minutes, just having conversations with you. I think The first one was over a LinkedIn message. The next one was over a Zoom message, right? And you walk me through a couple of things and show me a couple of things, and we are able to move on to where I'm at today because of that. So, being able to share that with the world and seeing how fast and easy you can help them do it.
Absolutely.
We need to get you back on here, brother.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Nate, where's the best place for people to find you? The number one spot.
Number one stop for you want to come and check out hacksandhobbies.com, the podcast. There's a ton of episodes. We've got one with Rob House from season 2. Really powerful stuff. How he's helping. He's trying to get to the billion healthy people, and we're there. We're there pretty soon, right?
Moving there, man. It's happening quickly.
Amen. So that's a place where I've interviewed a ton of guests, and so come check them out, see what you think, give me a holler, and see how I can help you.
So if they want to give you a holler, where can they find you? They say, you know what, I found your website, I found everything. Now I want to talk to you.
Yep. So they can send a message to Hacks and Hobbies, Junaid at hacksandhobbies.com, or any of the social media. Hacks and Hobbies is right there. Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm basically on all the social networks. So whichever is your jam, find it.
You'll find them there. Cool. Well, we'll make sure to put all those in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you.
So they'll make sure they'll hunt you down for sure. But now, man, it's been a pleasure, man. It always is. And thanks for sharing those golden nuggets with us. And I can't wait to have you back on the next one for sure.
Yeah, guys.
Absolutely.
You check out Junaid. Go to Hacks and Hobbies. Check them out on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you want to go. If you want some insight, you want to get some knowledge, this is the guy who got more than college. Man, thank you, brother, for being with us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Welcome to the Business Empowerment Podcast, the show that keeps you in the know with what you need to know in business and technology and for yourself so you can grow. Welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Rob House, and my co-host, Wilton Rogers, got insight for miles and miles. We'll give you what you need to know. Get ready for the Business Empowerment Podcast.